I'm going to move on to a demo from a book. That's one of our older books, and it's actually on sale right now. It's on sale on our website for like $8. It's a really sweet book called Fast, Fun, and Easy Christmas Decorations. And there's a lot of really great ideas for creating really fun fabric ornaments and decor for Christmas using fast diffuse and fabric. And there's just some of the images on the back there. So what I'm going to show you is just how fast and easy it is to make a whole bunch of ornaments. And there's all the patterns are in this book for all these cute little ornaments, all these cute little shapes that you can embellish and turn into whatever you want. And all of the patterns are drawn in here. And the tip that Laura gave earlier about taking the book and cutting the patterns out and putting them into a spiral bound or into a binder with sheet protectors is a great idea, because I cut mine out because I want to enlarge it on the copier, because I don't want to make an ornament quite that small. So I took this page and I enlarged it on my all-in-one printer to 200% so that I got a better size of the dove. And the dove is what I'm going to be working with tonight. So I'm going to move the camera down real quick. Alrighty. Ta-da! Okay, so what we're going to work with is a piece of fast diffuse, our pattern, my favorite, silicone release paper, and an iron, which I'm heating up as we speak, and a little piece of fabric. Okay, so first what we're going to do is we're going to create an adorable little ornament that looks like this, and it's double-sided with fabric and fast diffuse, and we're going to even sandwich a little hanger in the middle, and it's so quick and easy. So I'm going to show you how to transfer the line. Now, she showed you a technique using the Solvay. This is a technique just using your marker and a piece of silicone release paper, and I had shown you guys this a week or two ago about how to use a pencil and burnishing, but with fast diffuse. I'm going to actually get this pattern right onto the fast diffuse, and it's a little thicker and a little nappier, and so burnishing alone is not quite so successful, so the heat is what helps. Now here's what's great about the silicone release papers. You get kind of a double whammy here. So I'm going to use it not only to transfer, but I'm also going to use it to protect. So I'm going to take my fast diffuse and I'm going to lay my pattern down on the fast diffuse. Make sure I can position it so it fits. There we go. And then using the heat of my iron, I'm going to just transfer it down. Now this is the beauty of the silicone release paper, is that not only will it, the smooth surface, transfer your ink down onto your surface, it will also prevent anything from sticking because it's a non-stick surface. So that's why it's really great for fusible applique. And I'm going to give it just an extra little burnishing while it's still hot right around the edges, so that ink really gets down in there. And a Sharpie marker works great. Okay, so now I've got my my line right on the fast diffuse. Yay! So then, yes, and you can use it again over and over again, but the heat really helps get it down onto this kind of nappier surface, this fast diffuse. And what's really great when you're dealing with applique in particular is that you can draw your pattern. Let's say you're using a letter and you don't want to have to turn it backwards, or if you're doing a word, you can actually do it in the same direction, because when you cut it, you're going to turn it over and fuse your fabric to this side. At any rate, so that's a great way to transfer onto fast diffuse with a non-stick transfer surface to get your designs. So then I'm going to take my fabric. So this is my design that I'm going to cut out in a minute. And so now I'm going to turn this over, and I'm going to take my nice fabric, the right side up, and I'm going to fuse my little fabric, make sure I'm in the right spot. I'm just working with little scraps here. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to fuse my fabric into place so that I can then cut out my little bird. And I'm going to go ahead and use the silicone release paper, not the side with the ink on it, just so that I don't scorch the fabric, so that I can leave the heat of the iron on there for plenty long, give it some good firm pressure to get that fusing going. And so the silicone release paper really helps like a pressing sheet without creating too much thickness. Sometimes I've had to actually press longer with some pressing sheets because they're just a little too thick and it takes a while for the heat to get through. But that's what I kind of like about silicone release paper as a pressing sheet, because it's very thin, but it still does the job, and it protects your fabric and protects your iron from any little miscellaneous sticky goos from the Fast-A-Fuse. Ah, sticky goos from the Fast-A-Fuse. I'm such a dork. Okay, so and you know what? I would have, it didn't stick, but I would have also probably put another piece of pressing cloth or non-stick silicone release paper on the underside so that I don't accidentally fuse myself to my surface. Okay, so now I've got my fabric in place. So now I'm ready to cut out my bird. So talk amongst yourselves, and I'm not going to actually do this whole thing, but I'm just going to cut. Okay, actually maybe I will. So I'm going to cut this all out. Now, this is a no-sew project, but you can, of course, do a nice stitch along the edge to cover the edge of the Fast-A-Fuse if you want. You can also, after you cut this, use like a fabric marker, a permanent marker, to ink the edges a little bit if you're not happy with that little white peeking out. Or you can just leave it alone and just let it be cute, just as is, with a little white edge. It's a really kind of fun project for kids too. It's very family friendly. Am I missing any questions? I'm trying to look at the chat room now. I don't like to look at the chat room while I'm cutting. So now I've cut out my bird, and look, it's gorgeous and nice and crisp with the fabric all fused down. So I'm going to make 2 of these, and then I'm going to fuse them together so that I have fabric on both sides, and I also have a nice thick ornament. And before I fuse them together, when I've got my 2, I'm going to lay a little piece of ribbon right in between, and you can see this is a double thickness fabric on both sides. And so I'm going to put my little ribbon, and I just laid it down right about to here, and then I laid it all down, put 2 together, and used my silicone paper, and I just fused it to each other, fused the 2 sides together. Lisa, the drawing on the dove is left over. Can you sort of rub or scrape it off? Once the heat has gotten to it, it's in there pretty good. It is because it's smooth. Before you use the heat, it wants to rub off. But no, once you've got the heat on there, and what I've done too is I've taken my Sharpie and just, if I want to use it again, I'll just go back over the same line to use it again. But you can, usually it will release at least twice with the same amount of ink, and it just gives you a nice faint line that's enough to cut on, but not too dark. And I actually really like using a colored Sharpie so that it's not as dark as a black. So I like using my green or my gold Sharpie so the lines are a little bit softer. So that is as easy as it is. And then you can take a nice either a fabric marker or a micron pen, and you can create a little faux stitching around the edge and draw a name or write the year or do whatever you want and decorate it. But then but I just want to give you a heads up that if you're using a pen that is not permanent on fabric, just heat set it. So after you just lay that down and just run your iron over that for just a few moments, and that will heat set that ink and make it permanent on fabric so it doesn't smudge in case it drops off the tree into your eggnog. So at any rate, that's how easy those little ornaments are, and you could add a little bead here before you fuse it down. You can decorate it however you want. Your kids can draw their names, and you can use all kinds of shapes and sizes. You can actually even fuse little lace in between, little peekaboo things in between. You could fuse a little olive branch in between here, make it look like it's coming out of his mouth. And as you can see, the edges are still crisp, and I don't think they're so offensive, and I think it's a great, really fast no-sew project. It's really stiff, almost like a piece of wood. And there you go. Done. And a partridge in a pear tree. How easy was that, people, right?